Hi, I'm David Daniels. Welcome to the Shaman Speaks podcast, where I share the life lessons I'm learning in order to help others move forward in their own lives. Enjoy. Welcome to week 15 of my journey to becoming a counsellor. Let's dive straight in. So first and foremost, these last few weeks, my main focus has been delivering a message, a talk. Some people call it a sermon or preach at my church. That's really taken up my focus. I've still been doing stuff, as you would have heard in previous episodes, but now that is done, one of my main goals is to get this podcast up and out for you to listen to. So hopefully you'll be listening to this, which means I've achieved that goal. But in actual counselling terms, what have I done this week? First and foremost, I've done a quiz. I've said a few weeks ago, this is like the basic thing I will do. Minimum, that's the word I'm looking for. The bare minimum I'm going to do. I did a quiz. It's just online, just Googled it. Found a couple, I've listed them, so I'll go over them. But this was one I did a few weeks ago around major counselling theories and theorist quiz. So official score was 4 out of 18, 22%. I got one less answer right than last time. Weren't happy, to be honest. As I said before, out of the 18 theories that were listed, the list of the theories, you've got to name the person who was behind that theory. There's only 8 of them that I studied in my time. So the percentage-wise, I've just realised I haven't written down that percentage. But last time round, I've got 62% and I've got one list wrong. So it's going to be around 60, 50, high 50s. You can double check my maths and let me know if I'm way out. I don't think I am. So yeah, one less than last time. So obviously I've got some brushing up to do. And I think it's not going to be at the forefront when I'm counselling clients, but it is important to keep up that knowledge, I think. So yeah, got to do some work on that. And obviously learn more of them. I can't keep saying I'm doing this quiz. I've only studied 8 of them because obviously I haven't seen the one and they show the answers. So in time I should get to know all of them. We will see. I had confirmation from Cruise Counselling that I'm not going to take on their training starting in May. I'm going to wait to the next round of training because of the one day that I couldn't make. When I know what I'm talking about, listen to the last couple of episodes of that. And I'm working to get in a meeting with my Spanish angel, Gary. Runs the Gap Counselling amongst many things he does. He is the reason that I am on this counselling journey, one of the main reasons that we're going to get together, have a meeting and see how I can support his therapy business and all that he's doing, which is a lot, helping a lot. So yeah, quite excited about how that's going to work out, and that will allow me to get some experience on board. And then when the cruise counselling, cruise bereavement comes back round, plan is at the moment to do both in tandem, but we will see. I really think that being in helping people with bereavement, kind of throwing myself in the deep end in terms of counselling areas to cover, be a good test for me and really get me going in terms of counselling. But we'll see as that part. So yeah, a couple of little admin bits there. And then I've been listening to a few podcasts. I've actually trimmed down the amount of podcasts that are on my list. I sometimes think less is more. As much as I love information, I think I consume too much, and sometimes you need to let it digest. So that's a bit of a cleaning up exercise. But one that is firmly remaining on my list is the Grow Your Private Practice podcast. Came across it a few weeks ago. A few months ago, actually, before I started these podcast recordings, and yeah, it's on my list. It's going to stay on my list for a while as I work towards having my own practice. So the reason I listen to these in the main is to just keep that future plan in mind without digging into all the episodes and consuming all of them. Some of them are not for me to listen to right now. But this one was episode 42, Why Your Private Practice Should Not Be on Every Social Media Platform. I've heard the podcast host talk about this in some of her other episodes. You could argue that maybe this is not the podcast for me to listen to right now. I'm not actively using social media to speak about myself as a counsellor, but I thought it might be interesting to listen to in terms of me promoting this podcast that I'm doing and marketing it and let people know that it's out there. So I might listen to it. It's really interesting. She makes some good points. Talks about focusing on one, focus your efforts on one. She talks about the different types of social media and the kind of the pros and cons and how they work, which I thought was really interesting. She shared some insight about LinkedIn that I hadn't realized. I am on LinkedIn. I'm not active on LinkedIn, but in terms of what she said, I actually think if I was to choose one platform, that actually might be the one. And when it comes to talking myself as a counselor, I think that might be the one that I go to. In terms of the conclusion I came to, in terms of the podcast, I'm just going to use all the ones that I'm currently using to reach as much people as possible. But I really want it to be low maintenance. I need to think about, I don't spend hours pouring out long posts, what have you. I need to have a think about that. So yeah, it was an interesting one to listen to. Definitely, if you're interested in that area, I would highly recommend that podcast to you. I wanted to end with something I read from a book called The Fiber Fueled Cookbook. It's a book I've borrowed from the library recently. I've had a whole journey with food intolerances and tiredness and issues with my bowel, which I'm not going to go into today because it's not the aim of this podcast episode. And yeah, I must admit, I've lost a bit of hope. Basically, the conditions I've got, I suffer from nothing's ever been diagnosed medically. Everyone seems to generally look fit and look well, and I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you know something's up, but it feels like everyone's telling you the opposite, and you start to feel a bit paranoid. You think, is it me? Man, this is long-standing issues that have been going on for the 20 years plus. I've paid hundreds of pounds to see numerous dietitians. Only one of them had any real results, but then that meant I was on a restricted diet and trying to transition from that with dozens of books, podcasts, YouTube videos, all the rest of it. And I know one or two things. I know at times I'm suffering from a low vitamin D count. I have a sensitivity to gluten, and that's pretty much it. I won't give you the whole story how I came across this book, but I've come across this book. The main thing that appealed to me is like it says it will give you like a 40 plan to heal your gut and kind of take you to the root to try and identify your issues. And I kind of a bit disbelief because if it is true, I can't believe that the information will be in a book when I've seen so many different dietitians and doctors and consultants about it, but we will see. But there's actually a section in page 12, which is 3 basic steps gut healing. And I was actually going to read a quote, but in my eagerness to record this podcast, I haven't actually got the book with me. So I'm going to have to try and remember. And I think one of them was, the first one was hope. That to know that what you're suffering from will be identified. And then I think it's like identification of what's actually going on with you, and then a plan to move forward. I know that's not 100% correct, but I think it's something like that. I know definitely the first one is hope. So let's just go with what I can remember, what I'm making up on the spot. So the first one is hope, identification, and planning the way forward. And when I read that, I actually think that's a really good kind of strap line or steps for what I want to achieve in counseling my clients. If I think about my journey with shyness, for so many years I thought there was no hope. I thought I was always going to be like that. I tried so many things, but I was always going to be shy. awkward and question my value and question my worth in the world, question my worth in myself. But just to know that I always say this actually, it's one of the reasons I got into public speaking a few years ago. When I was in school and when I was getting bullied and just that massive anxiety about myself, not about the situation, but about myself in the world. If I had someone come in who wasn't my teacher, who wasn't my parent, and said to me, you know what, I've been where you are. I've been bullied. I've been shy. I've felt awkward about myself. But look at me now. Look what happened. That would have given me so much hope. And it's like one of the big reasons I got into public speaking is for me to provide that hope to someone else. Sometimes you can be the solution to a problem that wasn't solved with yourself. Doesn't mean you can't decide to change that. Let me keep on the right tangent. So yeah, hope. Just to let people know that hope, I think, is a massive thing. It's like shining a light in a dark situation. Identification. What is the root cause, in this case, in the book, of your gut issues? So if I'm counseling a client, they're probably going to know what their issue is, but it could be that there's layers behind that. It could be that something in their childhood that's actually at the root cause of identification. And then through counseling sessions or whatever, that we can have a plan, whatever you want to deem a plan to be. Step by step, it could be just talking it through and getting to root cause and then move a way forward. So I really struck out to me when I read that in the book, and I think it crosses over into what I want to do in my counseling career journey. I hope you stayed to the end of this episode. I think what I'm going to try and do, I think I might have said it before, is like, as I progress in this podcast journey, is that the beginning of this series, Becoming a Counsellor, would be straight down to what I've actually done counselling-wise, accountability. And then I think the latter part would struck out to me when I read that in the book, and I think it crosses over into what I want to do in my counselling career journey. As I progress in this podcast journey, is that the beginning of this series, Becoming a Counsellor, would be straight down to what I've actually done counselling-wise, accountability. And then I think the latter part will just be a few reflections or something I pondered of running over my mind, akin to what I used to do with my Facebook Live. You go on my website, shamanspeak.com, there's a link on there. You can go to my YouTube, like a playlist of Facebook live streams. I just uploaded it all on there. You kind of get more of an idea of who I am, kind of my personality. Hopefully it comes through in these podcast episodes as well. I really feel like this will really flow when I'm talking, even though I didn't have the book for the quote. Anyway, let me end that there. And as I always do, thank you, God. Amen. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe, share, and leave a review via my website, shamanspeaks.com. Have a good week.